What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are live. It is Wednesday evening. Myself and Nick. Mike will be here in a little bit. He's running a little bit late. So we got a cool show for you tonight. We got some new stuff that just came out. We'll go over a few things, and then we're going to get into some of the stuff that Mike and I talked about yesterday on his show. I was a special guest over there, which was pretty awesome. And we're going to talk about some Plagueis and the new Acolyte book that just came out. Got a couple other things, Mandalorian and Grogu, and who knows where the evening will lead us. So welcome back, Nick. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for the warm welcome. You did a great job yesterday afternoon with Mike.
Thanks. Yeah, that was fun.
Got a little rowdy in there, which was good.
Yeah.
And I was thinking today that, you know, the Acolyte's back in the news a little bit, but we haven't left it alone since. So, you know, it's nothing new over here. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, we all want it. You know, we talked about that yesterday. I don't think there's going to be a season 2, but if we could get something, you know, in reference to a Plagueis or the Stranger, you know, just some things like that would be really cool. So, but let's say hi to Max Rebo and Jessica. Thank you guys for joining us. I think we got a few other people on here that aren't putting saying hello, but if you want, put your hello, your questions, whatever you got in the chat. I have one thing I wanted to start before. Like I said, Mike's going to be a little bit late, but we have some new Funko coming out in reference to the Maul Shadow Lord, which I think these are really cool.
Let's do this for the people. Here we go.
Thanks. But
I did notice this new character Icarus, which is interesting name. Wonder what's going to happen to him.
And his weapon, he's got a badass weapon too.
Little chain gun,
sort of like machine gun or something. And then Rook cast, as we know, is Vanessa Marshall. So if you haven't yet, we have a cool interview with Vanessa Marshall on there. So that was really cool. If you haven't checked that out, please go check that out. We did an interview with her, I guess probably about a year ago or so.
Yeah, it might have been this summer, but she was great.
Okay. Oh yeah, maybe it was or earlier, or yeah, it was earlier earlier in 2025. So not a year yet.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
All right, where are you? Okay,
this is exactly what I was thinking, Max.
What's going on, Darth Plagueis lives? Appreciate you being here. We're going to get into a little bit of that. Thank you. I appreciate it with Mike's stream yesterday. Yeah, had a good time. Lane, he's on. Welcome. How's the negative degrees up there? I'm sure at this point. But
from what I've heard, it's been brutal.
Yeah, I'd rather have the snow than what the freaking ice that we had, though, dude.
Yeah,
it was.
For those of you who don't know, we live in a region of the world that got smacked with some ice and is not prepared for it. So
yeah,
we were indoors.
Not like Minnesota or Rochester where they get all that stuff all the time, and it's not a big deal.
Yep.
But, let's see. I had one other thing that I wanted to go over. Oh, actually, I don't have it pulled up. Yeah, snow and ice. Yeah, it was crappy. But there is I found something on the internet which was sort of cool. Unfortunately, I'm not equipped to pull it completely up yet, but on May the 4th in San Francisco, they will be playing The Empire Strikes Back, and Anthony Daniels will be there. So he was got contacted or whatever, but yeah, C-3PO himself is set to attend one of the biggest Star Wars Day celebrations in the Bay Area. And Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, the beloved 1980 classic that closes the 69th San Francisco International Film Festival. So if you're in San Francisco on May 4th, go check that out. I'm not sure where it exactly is. Oh, there it is. The Chestros Theater, something like that. But check it out; it's online. But I thought that was sort of cool. If anybody's out there in San Francisco, Anthony Daniels will be there. I've actually met him. He's pretty cool. He acts very similar to C-3PO, which is sort of funny. And obviously he moves like him as well.
Yeah. I remember when we were talking to Chris Bartlett, he was talking about how he kind of like watched Anthony Daniels for a while to get those droid moves down. But what's so funny is that like now the whole universe is filled with that kind of stuff. That's all just choices Anthony Daniels made out of his own personality and thoughts on set. And that's now how most Star Wars droids kind of like him, kind of walk around and behave. So,
Yeah. Speaking of, if you guys don't know who Chris Bartlett is, he plays C-3PO pretty much most of the time nowadays, but he's done a bunch of stuff in Mandalorian and Ahsoka as well. So if you haven't checked that out, we have an interview. Actually, we have 3 interviews with him, but it's just the one interview, and it was actually during the strike. So it's a cool, interesting interview for you guys that haven't seen that yet. We are going to have him on again. I actually talked to him about 2 weeks ago, and he wants to come on again. So I appreciate you guys being here. Go ahead.
Sorry, I wonder what he's able to tell us.
Yeah. At this point, I'd love to just catch up and see, like, what can you tell us at this point? Because I don't know if he's even able to say that he was on the set for Mandalorian or Ahsoka, which I'm assuming he is. And he might be able to say, "Yep, I'm in there," but he can't tell us, what he's played or anything like that. But it's pretty cool that he was able to do that. So we'll have to keep a lookout for that. But I'm going to go ahead and start with some of the stuff that we've talked about. But we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I did get the new book, The Acolyte, The Art of the Acolyte, which is really cool. I know there was some controversy, and there always is when the Acolyte is brought up. And Derek's not here to timestamp it, but
I'll do it 7:47.
But it's a thick book, which is really cool. Wow, it's crazy. Yeah,
those art books are always really good. They're always real dense.
Yeah, and the amount of information that's in it. There's some cool Easter eggs in it. I'm gonna talk about one of them. I have some of it pulled up online and stuff, but it's really cool. Some of the things that there's some things that Easter eggs that go back to Rebels, that go back to one of the games, which I thought was pretty cool. So we'll definitely talk about that. But I'm going to go ahead and do a little something different than we've done before, and we're going to see how this works. And I'm going to show you guys this book.
There we go.
So I don't know if you can throw that up there. Yeah. So
is it like concept art and like the still photos when they're making it? And does it include like the writing in it? Is it about the making of the show, or does it include like almost like encyclopedia type stuff?
It's more like encyclopedia type stuff. Leslie does the introduction, but there is some different things in here that talk about, the different characters and what went on or what didn't go on. And you can definitely see some changes in some of the concept art in reference to some of the places and some of the characters. There's a picture of Torben in here, and one of the concept arts when he's floating is he looks like he's about 80 years old.
Oh, okay.
and as we know, he's not that old. But yeah, some of these longer things here are a little bit more in depth about it with Osha and May and everything in the whole book. And I know we've talked about this before with the controversy here with the Acolyte, but this is a very similar thing, I feel like, with Shadow of the Sith, where if you haven't read that, that's going to help you like the prequels more or the sequels more, because I wasn't a huge fan of the sequels. I mean, I enjoyed them. They were what they were. It's Star Wars, so I still love them, and the choreography was great. But some of the story was a little bit different, and in the books, we're able to get a little bit more information. And I feel like this gives you a little bit more information. So if you're on the fence about the Acolyte, it's not it's not going to maybe help you love it, but I think it will sway you a little bit more towards liking it, or maybe going back and watching it again. They got a bunch of the new gadgets and ships and stuff that they talk about. There's some new planets that we didn't have beforehand. There's Coruscant, Coruscant is the Jedi Temple.
It's interesting, like from what I can see through the screen, it
Mhm.
does feel like the concept art looked a lot more like the prequels than the show did. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It kind of
yeah,
has that prequel lens on it in the concept art than the version we got was like an extremely felt kind of like very gilded and
yeah,
polished, you know.
yeah,
Not that the prequels aren't very polished, but you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah. No, they
Hey
did a
Nate.
good job. So would you say, hey Nathan? Yeah, I just saw
Yep.
Nathan on there. Thanks for joining us, Jord.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm
What
actually
were
watching it.
you what?
Go ahead. I'm actually watching. I think I sent you guys a message in that text.
Mhm.
I just started it the other day. I'm almost done. I think I got the last 2 episodes to go. But you just pick up new things every time. There's the prison break. That was
Mhm.
one of the things I thought was cool. I gotta find it again. But they show you, yeah, right here. They show you a little bit about that thing that was on the prisoner's face,
Oh yeah.
and it talks about it. So it gives you a little bit more background on some of the things that we really don't know. And most of the time it's just going to be people like us that are going to be, looking at those type of things. These are cool because these are some of the, the we want to talk.
Storyboard.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yep.
Some of the storyboard that they have. So it's sort of neat to watch that, almost like you're reading a comic
Mhm.
with some of the things that they've drawn on it. But yeah, here's the one with Lord
With
or,
Torben or
Torben. Yeah, he looks
oh
like he's
yeah.
about 80 years old in that. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a cool book.
Mhm.
If you guys haven't had it, if you're a Star Wars fan, you need to get it. If you're an Acolyte fan, you have to have it.
What
But
were there any things that really like stuck out to you as far as like Easter eggs from it, or that what were the things that changed your interest in the Acolyte, like you said about Shadow of the Sith?
well, it didn't change mine. I mean, I liked the Acolyte from day one, like we all did.
Mhm.
So I was sort of referring to if some of these people are sort of on the fence, or I'm not sure what they want to what they're doing and how they
Mhm.
like it. So if you're on the fence, this is definitely something good to go read to make you, I feel like, look like or like the Acolyte a little bit more,
Mhm.
like that Shadow of the Sith did for me for the
Right.
sequels. Let me see if I can find this. I wanted to show you these Easter eggs. And let me put this thing up here. So we all remember Pip,
Yep.
correct? Actually, I might have a little bit better picture of him there. So I'm gonna put Pip up. And if you look at this, there are a bunch of different things. I'm actually going to change it again and go back to this one. So the things up in, I guess it's the left front corner or the left corner there.
Mhm.
Um, there are different stickers that are on Pip. So one sticker is the bird's eye view of Ando Prime from the 1999 video game Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I played that game.
Yeah. So that's one of them. It's like a little so there's 4 stickers on Pip. and
Okay.
we can only see 2 on the front here, but as you can see, on the screen, there's those 4 things that are up in the corner there, and what those the next one, is the Loth Cat,
Mm-hmm.
which, which we can see for sure there, which is the nod to Rebels. Another sticker is a recreation of the emblem on Luke's helmet when he first trains with Obi-Wan in A New Hope.
Mm.
So I'm guessing that's a
Uh,
little bit lighter white one.
yeah, it is on the blast shield helmet or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Which I thought was really cool. And then the final sticker is in the shape of that. I guess it was intended to invoke the world of Batu,
Mm.
from Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
So that I mean that's you got Rebels in there, you got Galaxy's Edge, you got A New Hope, and you got a game from 1999 that was on there, and
Mm-hmm.
I think those are really cool. Everybody we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I mean, people are you know bitching about Leslie Hanlon and what she did or what she brought to us, but I think bringing those things in there, those are really cool, especially for like guys like us and the OG fans that are really into these type of things to show that it was really cool for them to put these Easter eggs in something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what the concept behind it was would be interesting to know because obviously, you know, where's that image from Luke's helmet? That would have been cool to find. How did she get that sticker? Where did she get these stickers on? So, but what's your tell me your thoughts on the Acolyte?
Me?
Yeah,
Oh, I think everybody will not be surprised to hear me say that I like it. More so that I feel like last year, shoot, that we're like a year and a half away from when it came out, but um, I was pretty quick to defend it because I felt like it certainly has gotten a bad rap. I don't think um, it's bad if you actually don't like it, that's fine. But I think it got almost like purposefully tanked by
yeah,
the fan base. I mean, it got review bombed for sure before it ever even released. And I think it's kind of a shame, as we've talked about before, especially with Mike, who will be coming on here in a second. Like, that was definitely intended to a story that was complicated and intended to be told for longer. And we're
yeah.
not, we'll probably talk about it later. Hey, Mike.
Hello there.
Hello there. Um, I was just saying, kind of similar to what you guys were talking about yesterday, Mike, that um, it's a shame the Acolyte is for now, you know, canceled
Yeah.
because it clearly was intending to tell a longer story, and I would argue um, it took risks that some of the fan base was not even willing to even hear about. So I think it was actually a really complicated and interesting story that needs more than 8 episodes to play out, and I think that was their intention. And now we're not getting it. So I kind of rushed to the defense of the Acolyte at the time because of that. Now, it wasn't because it's like my favorite thing in the world, but I think it's
Yeah.
way better than it got credit for.
Yeah.
And
I think. Oh, you go.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you're absolutely right. The reason we all rushed to defend it was because of not that it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, but because its cancellation meant those story threads are never going to be finished. At least not the way we want them to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was. I feel like if you strip away kind of the memes of it, right, and then as Derek has pointed out a lot when he's been on here, that the lead up media stuff was kind of hurt it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
If you strip the memes and stuff away, they actually kind of took a shot with a very intricate, interesting story about weird force stuff in a time that we haven't touched yet in live action or animation.
Yeah.
And it had the makings to at least jump us off in that world. I think the Acolyte unfortunately kind of killed the High Republic era for us by their unwillingness to keep making it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that it was just obviously a story that takes more than 8 episodes to do, and there was obviously a lot of care and lore that really went into it, and ironically, the correct lore stuff got hammered the most in the public, which is just kinda, I don't know, explains everything. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I'm a fan, that's my answer.
Oh, I'm a huge fan too,
Yeah.
but to your point, like, the things that got crapped on for the most part, probably 90% of the things that got, talked about when it came to The Acolyte was outside the actual content of the show. Like, it
Mhm.
was either how it affects the timeline, which has nothing to do with the content of the show, or it was interviews from the actors outside of the show. So, the content itself probably was only 10% of the actual criticism of the show,
Mhm.
because even people when episode 5 rolled around were like, okay, that was pretty cool. Like, even if I hate this show, even if I hate these characters, that was awesome. So
Yeah.
that was the consensus. It was not really so much about the content. It was more so about how for the 8 episode run it was going to break canon and it never actually did, or the interviews of, again, crazy things for actors to say, but that's not that has nothing to do with the actual show itself and the story beats that it introduced and paid off and I guess left hanging for season 2. It's just crazy to me that we had a world where we could have gotten season 2, maybe season 3, maybe season 4, where it could have turned into, at some point, seeing a Plagueis versus Chimere, which, if you didn't want to see that, you got to go get your brain checked. But then it could turn into Plagueis and Tenebris. Like, Tenebris, we don't even know if he's still alive. Has Plagueis already killed him yet? We don't know. In the canon of Star Wars, we have no idea. And then it could turn into a young Palpatine show, which to me would be the greatest thing of all. But we were stripped of that. That's what frustrates me the most. The Acolyte itself, the show, the 8 episodes, is great. I just recently rewatched it. It's great. It's awesome. And I love, and I say it again, I'll say it again, I watched it with Sam and she loved it and kept saying, why did everybody hate this? And I had to explain to her a million times that it had nothing to do with the actual content in the show. So it might be almost like an interesting thing where new Star Wars fans that are introduced to the galaxy far, far away in the future, in the coming years, will happen upon this mysterious Acolyte show on Disney Plus and go, what's this? Then they'll watch it, and it will. I feel like it could get this big revival over the next couple of years of fans who didn't watch it when it first came out and they go, wait, why did this not get a second season?
Yeah. Well, and like we talked about yesterday, I think it's in some aspect it will. We'll see the stranger again, I feel like, hopefully sooner than later with Manny, so he doesn't get too old and sort of step out of that character's role, or Plagueis. And I think, like we talked about yesterday again, that there's going to be something that's going to come out, whether it's a Tales or a live action. And while you guys were talking about that, I was just thinking, I think that some of the, I guess, some of the normie fans that watch Star Wars in reference to this, it feels like that maybe they didn't know what was sort of going on because it's 125 years earlier. Not that we all did, but we had a little bit more of a grasp. But I think if, as much as we would love to see Tenebris and Plagueis, on screen, I think if they were main characters, you would probably lose some of those normie fans because they're not into the sci-fi like we are, or the Star Wars universe as much. So you'd have to have, Palpatine in there. And I think once you got to a Palpatine show where he was a young Palpatine with a alien master, that would be okay. But I think some of these normie fans don't want to see, just a bunch of aliens on screen doing things. As much as we love that, I think that sort of turns people off a little bit sometimes. And I think it also turns some people off because they haven't maybe seen some of this new technology that makes them look like they're actually right there in front of you, and they look like they're human being, but they look like they're physical beings in front of people. So I think that has a little bit to to do with it, where we might not get some as much as we would love that, but that's where I think we can go to a animated series like the Maul series. This Maul series is going to be fantastic, and I think if you had something like that in reference to Tenebris and Plagueis, that would go over well on a Disney Plus for the Star Wars people. And then once you fill that gap in, then we go into young Chief Palpatine.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I actually think
Okay.
the Acolyte did that more than actually having them as a character in the show would. So I think casual fans watching the Acolyte and seeing him in the cave go, well, who the hell was that? What's that about?
Yeah.
And never seeing him again. But if he were just kind of like the stranger, like we didn't know who he is, it's still, and as long as he's, written like the way we know him in the Darth Plagueis novel, he's going to be a formidable villain for any audience because it's the first we're seeing of him too. We may know that stuff. We have the added context, but I have a feeling someone like Dave Filoni would do a good job of, for example, Thrawn in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Is no matter if people have read the Thrawn novels, however many of them, or watched Rebels or know the stuff, Thrawn is still a formidable villain in the series if they're a casual fan. And we have the added context of knowing exactly who he is. And it still works across the board.
True.
I feel like what happened in the Acolyte would be more disruptive than if he were actually in the season 2, for example, and kind of creeps in a little like the Emperor does in the original trilogy, and then you get him. Because I think, like when I watched The Acolyte with Madeline and Plagueis came on the screen, I jumped off the couch and went, like, got as close to the TV as I could. I was like, is that what I see? What I thought I saw? Like, I don't know what just happens. Creepy dude in the cave. We never saw him the whole show. Who is that? And it was like, well, I guess we have a season 2, but and we didn't. So I don't know. I think you could pull off a big time villain for the casual audience, and in a way where we have all the extra context, but whatever they do in the show is cool enough that the general audience would be okay. And I also think that that was one of the challenges the Acolyte did, that it was a really intricate lore heavy story for us, but it played out for broad appeal for all casual fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a very hard thing to do, especially in 8 episodes.
Extremely hard.
And I didn't mean it. I think that Plagueis would be I think if we have a Plagueis and Tenebris type of dealing where you have 2 main aliens that are your main characters. No, if we went to Plagueis and Palpatine, or we went to Plagueis and the Stranger, that would be fantastic. I think you would get a fans for that. But all I'm saying is I think if we put too many aliens in there as main characters for the normie fans, they would not like it as much as we would, obviously. And Jan has said here, Dave greenlight, season 2. And Mike, you and I talked about this yesterday. I don't think there's going to be a season 2, but I think we will get something from this.
Yeah, a continuation of the story somehow. But I agree with both of you to an extent. Like Ron was saying, we haven't had it in Star Wars where the main character of anything live action is an alien, because that would be CGI or practical effect, but that's never been the case where fuck me, I guess. No, you're absolutely right.
What did you say?
My favorite show of all time.
Yeah, Ahsoka.
Until my favorite show of all time, of course. No, you're absolutely right. But Ahsoka and Plagueis,
human adjacent.
yes, Ahsoka is very humanoid, I suppose.
Yes.
But a CGI face, we'll put it that, impossible to make practical, would be Plagueis' head and Tenebris' head. Tenebris could be practical, I guess. But we've never had that where the entire time you're looking at a CGI face as the main character. That's something very, very difficult to pull off. You've seen it be side characters, and it's been hard to pull off. So to Ron's argument, unless it was practical, which would be hard for Plagueis, it would be the first time we're doing that and very difficult to accomplish. But I don't think Plagueis would even be the main character of a second season. He would be a main character, but not like the main character. And his screen time would be limited, and you wouldn't have to have a fully CGI character be the main focus. And then to Nick's point, I honestly think that Dave had some sort of involvement with the Acolyte. Like, he wanted that to be successful. He was the chief creative officer at the time. Like, he has the sit-down interview with Leslie Headland. Like, he was involved in some way with that show. Probably not as a writer or a director, but still as some type of producer. And I'm sure, because he greenlit it or had a part in greenlighting it, that he liked the majority of the story or the characters or whatever in that sort of time period and would want to continue that story. And I probably know for a fact that he loves Plagueis and would want to tell more stories with Plagueis.
Yeah.
But Maul, we're getting Maul this year. Maul's the first, I guess you could consider the Acolyte the first to focus on a villain, but Osha goes from the hero to the villain, so it's kind of different. But Maul's the first villain-focused, main character, villain show. And it could, in a way, be something to lead into a do fans like this type deal. Like with animation, and Nick has mentioned this all the time with like the tales and stuff, they almost like put in seeds of like, will fans like this idea? And for example, Clone Wars and Rebels characters, do they like these characters? Yes. Bring them to live action. The Ghost Crew, Ahsoka, like all your favorite characters, bring them to live action. So the animation side of things is a playground. They can do whatever they want, see what works, see what doesn't work. And if Maul Shadow Lord works, then I don't see why we couldn't get a live action Plagueis show where it focuses on the villain, focuses on Maul as an alien, I guess practical, but still, and focuses on those bad guys. It might be a little bit of a testing ground with Maul Shadow Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I think you could also knock out like the conclusion of the Acolyte in a Tales as a bridge. I
wouldn't want that though.
I wouldn't want that either. But Ron, did you just say that you don't think we'll do a season 2? That we'll do like
no, I don't think it'll be specifically
else,
a season 2. Yeah.
So I think in lieu of a season 2, Ryman, it'd be like a Tales of the Acolyte or whatever it'd be called, that kind of bridges us to the new project that's also in that timeline that involves someone like Plagueis or whatever, that is adjacent to the Acolyte but isn't that story. It's like kind of the other things. Maybe all the same types of characters are in it because they've established some things that are going on that are very important. But I think if they came out with something, Tales is like, man, they have this ace in the hole all the time. Like, do we need to fill in a gap? Tales of whatever. And it works. It's already proven it works. So
no, absolutely it works. And I think if you're gonna have to transition it to a different show title, like The Stranger, like Plagueis or whatever, then just fill in that gap. Fill it with comics, books, tales, whatever you have to do. Just fill it and continue the story. Because if it's a Plagueis-focused story that shows Chimere now as a side character and Osha as a side character, and it's from his perspective, I would fully be okay with that. Just end off those stories, finish it up nicely, all that, and then continue into the timeline, which would make sense because you have to eventually fill in that gap. I just saw this over here, and I'm dying to know what you guys think because, again, I don't have my hands on the art book, but Ron does. It says that Dathomir was originally supposed to be was originally set to appear in the Acolyte, and that the witch's temple was not on Brendok. It's Brendok, right? Brendok. Not on Brendok, but on Dathomir. Do you guys think that would have affected the way that people look at this show if it was Night Sisters instead of the witches we got?
I actually do.
I do
100%, 100%. And I think, who knows, I saw a rumor that they were told they can't use it because they were using Dathomir, obviously, later for other things, and that they didn't want to.
Interesting.
Whatever. I don't know whose call that is because I've seen like both sides of the fence of people saying why they weren't allowed to use it and blaming Dave one way or the other. Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't there. We weren't either. But I think it would have absolutely changed the appeal to the witches because I think that was what was implied and insinuated, that these are pretty similar, just a different type of the witches you already claim you love, but you hate them. So,
well,
you know,
that was there was a thing to that though. It was more so like a normie fan who's never seen a witch in Star Wars. They were all like, "Oh my god, they're all women," and we were like, "Yeah, that's how it's always been, dumbass." Sorry, no, but no, that's exactly. I get frustrated when I talk about the Acolyte because people are just stupid.
Mike, has this ever happened where you've led in cussing? Your head on the scoreboard.
The Acolyte gets me heated.
Yeah.
Because it's just so stupid. Like, use your tiny little brain, Jesus. Okay, but yeah, that was a big problem. Was the witches, and that, like you said, if they looked like exactly like the witches from Dathomir, then maybe you could be like Exhibit A. But because they weren't, there was a little bit of a disconnect there, and it just didn't translate, I guess, because fans know that witches in Star Wars are women and have been for a decade plus now, probably 20 years now, since the Clone Wars, since Asajj Ventress and the Night Sisters rolled into town. So it's not something new. That again is very stupid complaint, but I completely agree. It would have changed a lot. It would have changed the main characters. Osha and May would have been Night Sisters.
Yeah. And this flies in the face of something I say to you guys all the time, that I love the Star Wars universe getting bigger and getting like new looks at things. So, for example, that witch clan on Brendok is something we know is possible, but it's separate from the Jedi and Sith and Dathomir witches. They're doing their own thing, which is kind of like the central argument of the story, which is what harm are they doing over here? Why do the Jedi feel like they have to mess with it? But even though that makes the universe bigger, I feel like it would make whatever the hell's about to happen with Thrawn on Dathomir hit a lot harder to see a live action version of Night Sisters for the first time, for real, in some sort of centuries before Prime, and then see them resurrect, presumably resurrect them in Ahsoka. I feel like even though that wouldn't necessarily be a make the universe bigger move, I feel like it would have hit pretty hard if that indeed is the plan for Ahsoka. But
yeah, no, I completely agree. But you mentioned it a minute ago, somebody stepped in and said no to this. And we can speculate who that was. I honestly think it was Dave. I think, and it might have to do with what is revealed this year about the Night Sisters and their backstory and what's happening on Peridia and all that other stuff. Like, maybe it couldn't have connected with what Dave is planning. In one way, it could have helped maybe seeing them in live action beforehand, but in other ways it might hurt. I don't know how, but it might with the plan that he has.
I can I throw in there too that like we got a huge unexplored lore bomb from Ahsoka the year before, that Night Sisters have something to do with a whole other galaxy.
Yes.
So like, we're probably going to explore that kind of thing instead of, Brendok. It probably wouldn't have been Brendok. Obviously, it'd be Dathomir doing it over here again. I think whoever made the decision maybe wanted to keep that over here and thought, of course, witches can exist somewhere else. We're going to massacre them anyway. And to Max Rebo's point, that chick is a Zabrak in.
Well, actually, to your point, I didn't even think of that. They have to slaughter all the witches. So if it was on Dathomir, then they had to slaughter all the witches, and that wouldn't make sense.
It's already happened.
Yeah. So I guess that does make sense. So another thing to that too is witches that look like, I guess, non-Dathomirians or non-Peridians. I don't even know. But you have Morgan Elsbeth. Morgan Elsbeth looks like a human. So you've had that sort of introduced already before the Acolyte was released, because Morgan Elsbeth is in Mando season 2. So it's not like something crazy new that a Night Sister doesn't look like she's from Dathomir. So yeah, I don't know. It's just a really crazy complaint about the witches when it comes to this. Oh, and the other thing I saw was that the original title of the show was supposed to be called The Lost Sisters, which I would have hated. But what do you guys think of that?
When it came out, I know I've said this on the podcast while we were watching it, but it was teed up for a couple of years as like a murder mystery.
Yeah.
I felt like there's a lot more to this story for a Star Wars fan than like a murder mystery. The writing's kind of on the wall the whole time of what's going to happen. And I felt like it's more about the title, the Acolyte, like what's going on here, than if it had been called The Lost Sisters.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have landed as hard,
No, that was a great switch.
Yeah.
And the way they promoted the show, they actually kept the fact that they were twins hidden. Like they didn't tell us that, which was good. But yeah, the Lost Sisters would have been a disaster.
Yeah. And that's interesting. Max Rebo points this out. Murder mystery was solved in the first episode. I mean, kind of like,
yes, but somebody else. Well, no, you go. I gotta find.
I was just gonna say, I'm surprised there wasn't criticisms about that. I didn't hear any criticisms about, hey, I thought this was a murder mystery, and instead it's like a Star Wars lore bomb. It was like, and I don't know. I thought if they paced it out like a murder mystery, it didn't. I don't know. We were spending like this time back in the past, and then in real time, and I would rather have gotten it paced out like we were just getting the full story. Of course, you need flashbacks, but they, like you said, they kept the twins hidden in the show. Like you don't know until later.
It's not really a murder mystery. I guess it is for the Jedi. The Jedi are trying to figure out who's murdering all these Jedi, but to the audience, the bigger mystery is who is the master, who is this acolyte, who is the acolyte, the title of the actual show. So that's more so the mystery. I guess it was marketed sort of like a murder mystery, like who is killing the Jedi. But again, from the Jedi's perspective, they have no idea. That's the whole gist of the show. I scrolled back in the comments because somebody mentioned it earlier. Michelle mentioned choosing to kill off Trinity, Master and Dara. The way that they did was the way she was killed off is what killed it for my daughter in my daughter's eyes. That has been a big complaint. And I think it's because of the popularity of Carrie-Anne Moss. Yeah, Carrie-Anne Moss. The popularity of the actress, like killing her off in like the opening scene. But to me, I thought that was great because they killed off a Jedi in the opening scene. The opener to the show is this awesome battle in a bar, and this random new chick kills a Jedi. Like that is so cool. She's in episodes 3 and 7 too. Like she's not dead and gone forever. She's in the flashbacks too. But yeah, that was a big complaint for a lot of people because they love that actress. But I actually think that was the perfect way to start because everybody knows who that actress is. And you're like, holy crap, they just killed her off. Yes. Max Rebo. You're just mad because you're dead too, buddy.
And I guess to be fair, now that I'm thinking about it, there is a fair bit of mystery until episode 5 about Chimera too. The stranger. You see what's the Wookiee's name? Kanaka. You see him dead, and for that moment you're like, what, it's still a mystery what the hell's going on, and then Chimera floats down. But
it's actually a mystery until he takes his helmet off because you're like, okay, maybe it's Chimera, the guy, but May leaves him hanging upside down and she's running through the forest. So how does he beat her to Kalnaka and kill Kalnaka before she gets there? And my favorite explanation for that is Force speed, because Force speed we only ever see on screen with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon in The Phantom Menace, and it's never seen again. And the fact that he could use it to get to him first, kill him, and then go up in a tree just to aura farm as he floats down. So great.
He was also not the first. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the whole thing with Chimera was just so mysterious, and being able to bring him into this universe and then have the cortosis and everything else brought into it from 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 Legends, I thought was just spectacular. And I don't know, Mike, if you were listening beforehand,
I was a little bit,
but the one Easter egg you did or didn't.
I was listening a little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was cool that Pip has these little stickers,
Yeah.
On it for these Easter eggs,
Yeah.
So hopefully, we get something else. So obviously there's not that much hate in there like that is, like you said before when we've talked about it about, the actor that played Yord, not knowing something properly or
Yeah.
mispronouncing something or whatever. But obviously this was a big thing, and a big Star Wars fan, whether it was Leslie or somebody else, had a part in putting these little things in there. And I think that should help people think, you know what, this is a very Star Wars universe show, so maybe I should give it a second chance and not judge it just because of the 2 or 3 little things, for Kimandi's birthday. I'm like, that just pisses me off. I'm like, whatever.
Well, to your point too, like that stuff well, first of all, not even canon, but again, it's so insane to even complain about when you have, for example, other actors messing up stuff in interviews all the time, but they don't care about that because it's not the Acolyte. And to that same point, like the Yord actor and whatever, he accidentally said Anakin instead of Luke. Like we're killing a guy over a miscue, whatever slip up. Like what are we even doing here? But yeah, I mean,
go back like you said.
No, go ahead. No, you go.
No. I was just gonna say, like you said yesterday, if it was if it was Ewan McGregor, nobody would care if he messed up.
It has been Ewan McGregor
yesterday.
Yeah, it has
every interview that Ewan McGregor has, he doesn't know a single thing about Star Wars, and it's awesome, but we don't care.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting dilemma of where the fandom is sometimes at, where clearly some of those people in the Acolyte were fans when they were a kid, but they're casual fans.
Yeah.
And so therefore they're not allowed to talk about it, even though they're in it.
Yeah.
And I remember when, I don't know if it was Leslie Headland or whoever in the show said man, we tried to put together the best lightsaber duel since the prequels. And before anybody saw it, everyone's like, no, not allowed to do that. No way this group of people could pull that off. And it's I'm okay with them preemptively saying that. It was definitely the most lightsaber action we got in one scene since the prequels.
The prequels, yeah.
So I don't think that was outrageous, but at the time it was so outrageous that it just set everybody against everything they said. So when someone says Anakin instead of Luke, it's see, look at them.
Exactly. Well, to that point too, the same people who are complaining that they say stuff like that, oh my God, they're going to make lightsaber duels like the prequels. No, the exact same people who are complaining that the lightsaber fights in the sequels aren't good enough, aren't fast enough. It's the exact same complaint, or exact same people complaining, the exact opposite complaints. What do you want? Faster lightsabers or no lightsaber fights at all? But to that point too, and as Ron was saying with the Easter eggs and everything, Leslie Headland gets a lot of crap, and so do the actors and whatever. It takes an army to make these shows. It takes so much detail and all this other, not just prop builders and everything, but the little details, the stickers on what the hell's the droid's name? Pip, yes, of course, Pip. I know all about Star Wars. Pip,
be careful. We might get some comments later.
Yeah. So on the Pip droid, that stuff, it takes hundreds and if not thousands of people to make a Star Wars show, but all the blame gets pointed to one person or a couple people.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I wonder if also people kind of conflate how much something cost with how good it should make them feel. And the Acolyte was really expensive. And I think people just assumed it would basically be an 8-episode sequel film looking movie. And it looked like a Disney Plus live action Star Wars show, which I don't have any problems with, but it was really expensive. It was not that far off from Andor numbers in terms of like per episode cost. So I understand like maybe if that's where you're basing, if it costs X amount of money, it should equal this. That's not how this stuff works all the time. You know, the Hunt for Ben Solo was supposed to cost a very small amount of money in Star Wars terms, and we've already decided we love it. We don't know anything about it. So, you know,
well, to that point, a Star Wars movie, because the Mandalorian Grogu movie, again, the budget sounds very small because we've been talking in television numbers. TV is 8 episodes. You're talking, if you watch Acolyte from start to finish, it's pretty much like you're watching 3 movies. Like you're watching the length of 3 movies. So they have to film the length of 3 movies. So they have to film 3 movies. Like that's the idea here.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, when everybody started crapping on it, it was like, we have a amazing Star Wars live action here, and you're not giving it a chance. And I think that's the thing that sort of, brought people away from it. And like you said, Mike, with just the starting out of, some of the outside stuff, not being able to, or people making wrong decisions or saying the wrong thing is something that, people just, like Nick said, get over it. Let's just move on and deal with it,
And I think the moral of the story is a season 2 would have made season 1 much better. If you were someone who was on the fence about the Acolyte, a season 2, much like it did with Andor, Mike, you said that yesterday, like season 2 made Andor season 1 a cohesive juggernaut of a series. A series no one was asking for became a masterpiece. Right.
Yep.
I'm not saying Acolyte would have done Andor level stuff, but a second season would have made the first season better. I think there's no doubt about it, but we'll never know.
Specifically with Star Wars content, every single one that has a second season, usually that second, or every time actually, that second season is better than the first. Andor, Mando, Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, every single second, third, fourth, fifth, however many seasons that is better than the first. And that's because you have to establish characters, establish relationships and connections to characters and all that, because that's what a season 1 is there to do, especially when you set it up for multiple seasons. But yeah, absolutely. Second season would have been so much better, or at least made the first season even better. But
well, and I think we'll get, like I said, I think we'll get answers at some point. And now with Dave in charge and Dave being president, I think some of that stuff will get greenlit, like I think it was Janet said earlier. So I think hopefully that will come to fruition at some point. But I would love to see, the Stranger and Plagueis go at it, which would be amazing at some point, especially in live action. I think that would be pretty cool. So,
one thing,
so we got go ahead.
Wait, one last thing. One thing that we haven't brought up yet, and Nick brought up the Hunt for Ben Solo at least, is the art book confirming, or I guess almost confirming, Leslie Headland, that Kylo Ren in that, of course, Knights of Ren and Chimere connection was clearly there. And in later seasons, they would have dived into that even more. Him being the first Ren or Knight of Ren and starting the Knights of Ren, and how he's not actually a Sith Lord, but the Jedi would call him Sith. Like all of that would have been explored in season 2 and beyond, which would tie the prequels to the sequel trilogy. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah. And hopefully we will get something like that, because there is so much there. And now with Dave being in charge, I think that he's going to want to bring some of that to fruition. So hopefully it'll be live action, but I think we'll get more either out of some books or some animation, fortunately or unfortunately, but just because it's going to have to be put out there. So, so actually, we can move on to Maul, or we can move on to Mando, or we can move on to Disney's new CEO. Let's do that real quick, because what I'm going to do is I had Derek send me a little video about his thoughts, which is pretty funny. So let's go ahead and play this 35-second, and we learn a little bit. Well, we learn some personal things about Derek as well. So this is pretty fun. So,
well, as I predicted many times on the show, Josh D'Amaro is going to be the new CEO of the Walt Disney Corporation, in charge of everything. What does that mean for Star Wars? I don't know, but I think it's a sign because he's also taking charge on March 18th, which is my birthday, and I might just go to Disneyland that day. But you heard it here first, folks. The Star Wars Jedi Chat podcast has been calling it for months. Josh D'Amaro, the new CEO of Disney. I think it's going to be great for Star Wars.
So now we know when his birthday is. But yeah, and I think he'll do a good job with this. I think, there are some things that maybe we had talked about yesterday, maybe some cuts, in pricing and different things like that. He's going to have to come in and make it look good. And somebody had mentioned today, I did a couple other little lives on some of the other social media, and someone said that Disney is still in charge. So this guy is going to be able to green light or red light and anything that Dave comes up with now and tries to push up that way. We don't know what type of relationship Dave has with this guy. If I'm sure they know each other, but it'd be interesting to see if they have some sort of, interconnection, whether it's a friendly connection or whatever it is, where he can go and they can sit down and talk and Dave can explain to him, something about this, because I think, at least from what we read or what we heard about Iger and Kathleen Kennedy, bringing this to him, he's like, well, I don't see how he can return. Now, I'm sure there was a little bit more to it, but I think if you have someone like Dave who knows the lore, who knows what's going on inside all of that, he can go and explain, hey, you know what? This is what we're doing for this, Ben thing. This is what we're doing for this Kylo Ren thing, whatever you want to call it, or anything else, this Plagueis thing. This is going to tie into such and such here. And Dave's going to be able to, I feel like, explain that. Not that Kathleen didn't know anything about Star Wars. She knew a lot about it. But I think that Dave is going to be able to explain and hopefully push through a few more things that maybe Kathleen couldn't explain or Iger didn't want to have on there.
Yeah, I agree. And with this Josh guy, again, as Derek probably knows way more than any of us about the guy, but I don't know him. You put him in a lineup in a room, I have no idea who he is. However, the thing I do like about it is that when Bob Iger acquired Lucasfilm in 2012, he just acquired it. Now, he could have been a Star Wars fan before, but he had zero experience with anything Star Wars or anything of that sort. So when he was dealing with Lucasfilm, he was just dealing with another company. When it comes to Josh, he has all this experience with the parks, and specifically with developing Galaxy's Edge, developing all these Star Wars technology with the lightsabers and the new droids at the park. Like, he was hands-on with all of those things. So he actually has hands-on experience with creating something of Star Wars for fans and creating that world for fans. So that gives me a little bit of hope. But again, don't know a single thing about this guy. Don't know if him and Dave have a relationship with Galaxy's Edge. Maybe they do. I don't know.
I do think you bring up a good point, though, with him getting into the
Star Wars
meat and potatoes of the Star Wars stuff, but in the parks, the lightsabers and the droids, and like you said, he had to green light all that. I'm sure Iger had to as well, but he was the one that was able to bring them in there and didn't have to red light it. So I think that definitely helps. That's a good look for us as Star Wars fans, and everything that's going on now where they're bringing in the original, and sort of splitting it up. So I think that's going to help as well. And maybe that's a key component to what we might see in the future here, because it looks like and sounds like all the time when they're doing these different things and making these different lightsabers for my thing is, if we see, and we still got I know over a year to go, but if what's her name turns into Mara Jade, we know exactly what they were doing when they were putting that lightsaber out. When they were putting I think that was one that we'll see. Am I back?
You're freezing up a little bit.
Freezing up a bit.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I'll take off where Ron was going because I know exactly what he was saying. Well, so to that point too, like, if they did do that Mara Jade stuff on purpose with the parks, then this guy clearly has more information than we know with the Star Wars universe. And to that, I actually agree with you. I have one kind of negative about this that I wish they did. We just learned a couple weeks ago that the park was going from the sequel era to the original trilogy era. Why not give this guy the job and then have him go, in my first thing in office, first thing as CEO, I'm gonna turn the parks into original trilogy parks, and everybody claps their hands. Like, they could have given him that big win if they just did it a couple weeks later. That would have been great. Star Wars fans would love this guy already so much more. They'd be like, yeah, Bob Iger's gone. This guy's bringing us the original trilogy characters back. He probably still was the reason we're getting that because he's in charge of the parks, but that would have just been like a feel-good win for him as the CEO.
Yeah, for sure. I think that would have been fantastic. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that would have been great for him to drop that and be like, "Hey, look at this is what I'm going to do." And because you're going to satisfy regular fans and you're going to hugely satisfy all of us fans, in the hundreds of thousands and millions that people would be like, "Oh, this is awesome." Like you just said, Iger's out and this guy's in, he's helping us. So hopefully we have good things for the future of Disney in the parks with him, and hopefully we'll have good a future in Star Wars in live action and movies and in the animation with him being the president. So we'll find out, I guess, next month.
I do want to caution everybody that Star Wars is just a fraction of what the CEO of Disney is responsible for making decisions on. So as much as cool as Derek says this guy is, and I believe him, that he's awesome. Yeah. I'm not expecting him to know or actually care about Star Wars. That's for Dave and Lin-Win Brennan to get across, and I have confidence in the two of them to do that.
Yeah,
I think Dave will get it across, like in the scenario where Bob Iger says, "I don't get it." Dave Filoni, what's the guy's name? Demaro says, "I don't get it." Dave can communicate that, but also Lin-Win Brennan has been in some very creative stuff with Lucasfilm as well, and has a huge pedigree with the business side, who could probably communicate it too. The difference, as you said, Mike, is that I would assume a function of Demaro's previous job was being very in touch with what people want or what people don't know they want yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so maybe he would be a little more in touch than Bob Iger, like classic CEO cutthroat, which is what those jobs are. He's not caring about yours or mine or anybody in the chat's feelings. He's got a bottom line to present to investors. So I'm not expecting him to be a big Star Wars fan, but I am confident that Lucasfilm is turning a page and is able to through line this thing. I don't think we'll have a Hunt for Ben Solo situation again.
No, I actually didn't even think of that until you just mentioned it with the Lin-Win Brennan stuff. Like, Dave is so immersed in the Star Wars universe that some of the stuff he probably says in a pitch meeting just sounds like gibberish. It sounds like a different language. So Lin will be able to literally translate it to Josh and to everybody in the room.
Yeah, hopefully. I wanted to touch on, and I know we've gotten some of these, but these new these are, you can order these now, and they are coming out monthly. I was talking with Jacob. Yeah, which would be interesting to see. Yeah, what they do. If there's the episode, or the first issue comes out, if it'll be with maybe like a little bit of a prequel type of thing, so we have a little bit of an idea of what this sheriff or police officer is doing in his his sidekick Two Boots. It'll be interesting to see what their little story is, and then as we go on, if there's going to be a different one in between the episodes. Does that make sense? Where it's sort of like we'll get the first comic issue, then we get maybe the first week of Maul, or the second week, so we get 4, and then when that next issue drops, are we getting more information about Maul and Shadow Lord? So I don't know how they're going to drop these and what they're going to do, but go ahead.
it just seems like the main characters of this book, it's not Maul. It's more so the perspective of these cops on the planet, the Janix planet, this new planet, and they're trying to stop Maul from building his empire on their planet. So I think that's more so what the comic is going to try to do. But it is a prequel, and the fact that it's coming out once a month is kind of crazy because then it's coming out before, during, and after the run of actual Maul Shadow Lord. That's kind of crazy. I did not think they would do that. Just timing wise.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was hoping it would be. Yeah, I was hoping it would be like weekly at least. Or maybe all of them at once, so we have like a cool backstory, and then we're like excited to get into this. So it'll be interesting to see what that first issue is, to get us in there and excited and give us a little background, for these couple of characters that we don't know about yet. But then as we go on, it'll be interesting to see.
So that would mean that the comic doesn't end till it's 5, right? Yeah. So it doesn't end till July. That's very crazy. But what do you think this means for the future? Will there be a comic run that comes out with Ahsoka season 2? Will there be a comic run that comes out with the Mandalorian Grogu? Like, is this going to be the new norm?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe, but I think that this is because this is animation, which sort of goes hand in hand with the comics. But I feel like that they just did this because it's Maul, and they were able to. We already have him in animation. We have him in live action. So to have him explain a little bit more of him in the comics is easier to put in the comics than it would be to either, extend this first season or to have a Tales or whatever to get more information for us. So I think this is just a Maul thing. That's my opinion.
I think also because it was such a shock. I feel like we always forget about it because it's been seared into our brain since 2018, but it was such a shock to find out that he's a Hutt level crime boss with immense power out of Solo and still have not a whole lot about it. That, the show is going to cover what matters, but the show is going to have its own story. So the more we can get about that stuff, they know they can feed it,
That's true.
So I think, like you said, Mike, it's more of like a buddy cop comic with Maul stuff in it that maybe has more of the situational crime lord stuff, but we get the more important nuggets through the animation.
I think it'll be Maul's perspective in the show and these guys' perspective in the comic, just from earlier. But just coming off the backs, I guess, of last year with the Legacy of Vader and how great that comic was, and to add to the sequels and to add to Kylo's character and the Knights of Ren and everything, it would be smart of them, just I guess based off I assume, I don't know the numbers or anything, but I assume that the Legacy of Vader comics were pretty successful because they were all the talk whenever they came out. So it would be smart of them to continue this, because I think the Maul comic will be popular. And I think if they continue it the right way with the right characters, they could do some very good comic writing that fills in the gaps, I guess, like Tales does and like everything else does.
Yeah. Well, sort of like this. I think that Max has got a good point. I think they will. They'll give us some more information about that planet. They'll give information about the two other characters that are, sounds like they're going to be somewhat main characters in this. So I think we'll get some information. And I think that's a lot of the times how we get that information from the Star Wars universe, just like the Acolyte book. So it'll be interesting to see what they have to say about this.
Yeah, think about it too. The Legacy of Vader comic just ended in December, and now we're getting this comic starting in March, ends in July. So I'm assuming around July they'll announce the next big comic, which will probably start in September or October, which will be right when Ahsoka season 2 ends. So it could be connected to Ahsoka season 2. Like, what if they give us Abeloth? What if they give us the backstory of the Peridia world with a kingdom that's been turned into a wasteland? What if they give us a comic about that, like the Night Sisters on Dathomir or something? I'm just spitballing, but like something to connect to, not Ahsoka specifically, but to what the events that took place and telling a prequel story to that, or filling in the gaps in that, or even about Ahsoka, like her training Sabine right after the events of Rebels, filling in the original trilogy time gap. I don't know. And yes, a Mara Jade comic would be great too. She would need many comics if she's actually going to be introduced, because she would need so much explanation.
We would almost need like a rewrite of all the stuff. Yeah. But
it would be like inserting Ahsoka though in the timeline. Like,
you could pull it off, but you might need, like, we've talked about an animation series with original characters. Yeah, like Ahsoka gets for the Clone Wars. You might need one of those to kind of smooth it over, which would be good anyway, because we don't have any lore between. Well, we have some, but we don't have any lore like that between 6 and 7. So,
yeah, well, because a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show that's 5 or 6 seasons will be perfect.
Yeah,
that the Clone Wars. Just like the Clone Wars added to the main characters, it would add to Luke, Leia, and Han, but it also add new characters like Rex and Ahsoka, but now Mara Jade and whoever else.
Mm-hmm. But I agree, to just insert her into the films, there you got to do a lot of legwork. I think Ron, how we doing?
I'm trying to fix this freaking thing, but as long as you guys are going, keep going.
We can hear you.
I don't know what's going on with my internet. So, well, that's good. It'd be interesting to see. But the next one, and I was trying to look that up. So, but the next comic is actually going to be the Jar Jar Binks and Ahmad Best in color and
Is that already coming out now or no?
Yes. Let me see when the first issue. Oh, wait a minute. No way. Hang on a second. That says. Okay, yeah, published February 11th.
Oh, wow.
So does that mean it dropped already?
No, I never
in stores. In stores February 11th.
That's a week.
I never made the Ahmed Best connection of him loading Grogu on a Naboo ship with Jar Jar, who is also Ahmed Best in play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Jar Jar is a funny one because he's a main character in The Phantom Menace. Yeah. He's a pretty big character in Attack of the Clones. And I think
he's just at the funeral.
He's just the funeral. Yeah. So to have a character that's that important in an entire trilogy just disappear off the planet of the Earth, like he is a main character in multiple arcs in the Clone Wars. Like, they know he's around. The fact that we don't know what happens to him in the post prequels is kind of crazy.
Well, we do know one thing. He ends up. Do you guys know this?
A street performer or whatever.
Yeah, he ends up.
Is that canon though? What's that from?
Yeah, I think it's in Aftermath.
Oh,
or in one of those, like one of the early new canon novels.
That's such a devastating end.
And then JJ wanted to put his skeleton in Jakku, apparently. They're just doing my boy dirty. But no, I think it would be cool to have Jar Jar Binks be involved in. Obviously, some people from Naboo were evacuating Jedi kids.
Yeah.
Like if Jar Jar Binks, if that sets off what we know as the path, what a good send off.
That would be good. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's implied that the people of Naboo hate him because they feel like it's everything that happened is his fault. And so
he kind of is.
Yeah. So he's been banished again.
Banished again.
Yeah.
The story of Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, that's brutal.
Max Rebo probably knows, and he should correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't get corrected enough on here.
There you
go. And Max said something about Mara Jade comic. I'd love to see a Mara Jade comic. I don't know if they will. There's a couple books that are out. Maybe possibly next year, if that's what Amy Adams is going to end up being, which would be fantastic. She's one of my legends, one of my favorite Legends characters. So if they bring her over, that would be fantastic to see. I guess one of the last things I wanted to talk about is let me see if I can. You guys can. We got a big weekend this weekend, and I'm not just talking about football. So hopefully, we will get some information about these two.
Yeah.
And
So
a trailer this weekend.
the latest I'm hearing is that, and this is usual with the Super Bowl ads, the trailer that's shown like at the Super Bowl is only going to be a short portion of the trailer, and then like at the very end it'll say full trailer online now. So they'll release the full trailer online on YouTube the second that the commercial starts or whatever, or maybe the Super Bowl starts. I don't know, but yes, we will be getting a Super Bowl ad along with an official full trailer on YouTube, which will be great.
Yes. And we're all going to be blowing up freaking YouTube as soon as we see it on, you're going to have to switch in the middle of the game.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, we need, and I've mentioned this before, we need plot. We need something with this new trailer. Like, the first trailer was a teaser, and it did its job. It teased the movie. It teased the action. It was fun. It was cool. It's been 6 months. We need something else. We need something more. And I think this trailer will give it to us. Some sort of plot, some sort of villain, some sort of tease to something bigger happening. Maybe a tease to a different character, a voice or a line of something. Like, I don't know. Something really cool. Not on the same level, but on the same level of Palpatine laughing in the Rise of Skywalker trailer would be nice. Just say.
Yeah. Well, and we talked a little bit about it last night, Nick. Or yesterday afternoon, I guess. What do you think will be on this trailer?
I would be shocked if there's, like Mike just said, still no plot. We know nothing, honestly, other than who's going to be in it for like who they're allowing us to know is in it. We know nothing about it. We only have rumors and like, supposed Blu-ray sleeves that may or may not exist that say kind of what it might be about. I would be shocked if the trailer gives us another nothing but like cool images. Typically trailers give you, especially Star Wars trailers, still don't give you a lot, but you get a general idea of what the vibe of the movie is going to be. And that's what I would appreciate, honestly. I think that's what we'll get because we're inside of 4 months of this movie and we know nothing about it. So, I think we'll get like even like teaser level plot. Like they won't tell us this is what's going to happen, but I think it'll just be a little bit of plot. But yeah, actually. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And Chewie's just sitting at the door.
He's like, how did that happen?
Mandalorian closed the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's no way that this trailer is just another teaser. Like, we need something solid, something that gets people excited. Like, we are at the point where this movie comes out in 3.5, but four, whatever it is, very, very shortly. And we need the hype level to go through the roof because people right now, the conversation is Maul, the conversation is Ahsoka Season 2, and I guess deservingly so because all the Ahsoka Season 2 leaks and the Maul Shadow Lord trailer and release date. So the topic, even Starfighter, we've gotten so much more about Starfighter than Mando and Grogu. So they need to switch the hype to Mando and Grogu and get just not us, but normie fans excited. And this trailer can definitely do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I said yesterday, I think we're going to see a little cameo. It might not be a huge character, but I think it'll be someone that we recognize just to sort of spark that interest along with whatever else they give us. But I think that we're gonna see somebody that's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I also think that we're still going to have a huge twist because look at the last couple, the sequels, I guess, are the last ones, right, that came out in the theaters. And what huge, surprises they had in those, especially in with Han dying. Nobody saw that. I mean, I didn't. Maybe other people did. I didn't see that coming. I know that Harrison didn't want to be a big part and didn't want to do, a bunch of other stuff. But I think it'll be interesting to see what we get, because we're still not going to get so much, if that makes sense. We're still not going to get, we're not going to get the plot. We're not going to get anything like that in this, because they would have already put it out there, and they've already sent this whole Embo thing. And I think we've talked about this before. I think that might be the opening, thing. They go out and, do something with them and Stinky, and then we get the main gist of the story that's going to come out afterwards.
I think it'll
get a little bit more of that.
I think you're right. I think if we get plot, it'll just be like the adventure part, but all of the stuff we'll see in the trailer for the most part will be from that Stinky the Hut little beginning of the movie. Kind of like whenever we get trailers for the live action series, it's always just from like the first 2 episodes. Like the 90% of it is stuff you see on night 1, and then you're in it. And I also think, Ron, to your point, I think we'll get 3 levels of cameos. I think we'll get cameos that people will recognize from The Mandalorian itself. Obviously them, like the characters, but maybe some things from the show that are reminiscent of the show that people go, oh man, I saw that back when it came out. I loved it. I think we'll get actor cameos. I think Sigourney Weaver is going to be like, oh, Sigourney Weaver's in Star Wars? I'd go see that. Stuff like that. And then I think we'll get the token Star Wars movie in the theater. Here's an X-Wing and a TIE fighter, or, something recognizable, classic Star Wars. I mean, what was more of a, crowd pleaser than seeing a red lightsaber in the Millennium Falcon and being chased by TIE fighters for 5 seconds in The Force Awakens? Even that was a teaser trailer. And then the regular trailer dropped and Han and Chewie are in it, and it blew people's minds. I think they're going to reach into the bag of like throwing a couple TIE fighters in there so you know where you are. Obviously, the walkers are going to be in it. They're already in the teaser. So that'll kind of imply what this is to the casual fan base. I think it'll be Mando specific cameos, an actor, an actress that people go interesting, and then the imagery of like classic Star Wars stuff. It's probably just the AT-AT or a TIE fighter or something. Because like as much as it's important to us 3, even if you show the N1 Starfighter, like who's the casual fan isn't freaking out about that like we were when we saw it in Mando doing the Leo DiCaprio thing, the TV. So I think they'll find a balance of that. Well, much of the, I don't know, images we see are from that like first act of the movie.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think they'll tease up a big battle scene for sure. Like we've gotten snippets of action, but like an actual big space fight or something like that. And cameos hopefully for days. I mean, this is a continuation of that 3-season show, and that 3-season show was jam-packed with everybody and everything. So,
well, and I think something like, with them bringing Zeb into this, while you guys were talking, and especially Nick, I think you have a good sort of sense there where it might be something like, okay, you're going to have a big cameo, okay, it's cool. That's somebody from that we've seen in The Mandalorian before, and then I also think that, I don't know why this just popped into my head, but I think it would be freaking off towards the end. You get the hello from Hondo.
Oh yeah,
that would be
Hondo
awesome
would be
to see him, to bring him into this, which
we
I think he could.
We still got the connection of the Smuggler's Run ride, which is the Millennium Falcon and Hondo, and that being right off screen, supposedly from Jon Favreau, the director of the movie, and how that the events at the park take place right off screen, the events of the movie. And the 3 locations that you can choose between on that ride that's coming out on the release date of the movie is the second Death Star exploded, like the ruins of the second Death Star, which they could put in the movie to, I guess, tie it to the sequels, because everybody was like, oh, the second Death Star exploded. How are the ruins on this moon? And the dagger goes to it, or whatever.
That would be awesome.
They could do that. And the other 2 locations are Bespin. We could be going back to Cloud City, which would be great, and Coruscant. So If we get Coruscant on this movie, I'll be hyped.
Yeah,
It'd be
it'll be interesting
consistent
to
with
see.
season 3.
True. Yeah, we did see it in
Yeah.
season 3.
Yeah, but I think that would be cool because, like you said, there's these direct connects that are supposed to be there. So, yeah, are we gonna see Bespin again in Mando? That would be freaking awesome.
Yeah,
to
that'd be
go
great.
back there and see what that's like now. After it was abandoned or whatever happened. At the end there. But I think that we could see a Mando or a Hondo cameo real quick, where some people would be like, "Oh, okay," but everybody on this chat and the three of us would be doing the Leonardo DiCaprio thing. If I saw Hondo, I'd be like, "Oh my god, that's amazing! That's going to be awesome."
Yeah,
for him to come
honestly,
on here.
that would be a good idea if I'm allowed to amend my prediction. The fourth layer is like freaks like us noticing something, and I feel like someone like Zeb is a little too low hanging fruit. It would have to be like a Hondo
Yeah.
for us to be like, "What? Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Yeah,
because we
well, there's
already
gotta
know
be a
Zeb's
ton of
going to be in it. Like
Yeah, there's got to be a ton of that. Like with the first 3 seasons, you got like R5 coming back, the droid from A New Hope, like stuff like that's all over the place.
Yeah, and Cad Bane.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but so far off when he starts walking in the sand up there, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, oh my,
Yeah.
that was just so cool to bring him to fruition in live action, and I think they
Yeah.
did such a great job with it. So something like that, you could bring a Hondo in like that and give him a cool prosthetic face or whatever, where he looks just like it, and get somebody to do the voice would be fantastic, and that would be a cool thing for all of us. And some people that aren't huge fans but have watched Clone Wars or have been to the ride, and that's the thing too. How many people have been on that ride that have no idea and what's going on with that, to see that being brought in,
Yeah, that
with
would be really cool. Because when you connect it to the parks, then it makes it feel more immersive. When you go to the parks, it feels like you're part of the movie, feels like you're in the galaxy. That is the best part. So, yeah, I completely agree. If it's all connected, if the Millennium Falcon's in the movie, if Bespin's in the movie, if the second Death Star's in the movie, then yeah, it'll be like more people are going to go to Galaxy's Edge to experience that because of the movie.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get across. Moms and dads are going to go take the kids into this, and they might not be into Star Wars, but the kids are, and then they see Hondo in there because he's the coordinator or whatever you want to call it. That's a character that not everybody knows, but will look familiar and be like, "Oh, that's the guy that's in the ride in Disney World." When we took little Johnny there. So I think that, and obviously all of us will be freaking out, but I think that would be pretty awesome. So,
and Hondo's a character that introduces himself every time he comes on screen. I am Hondo Unaka. Like he always is the guy who's gonna.
Hello.
It's no mystery what his name is.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Anything else you came up with today? I didn't see. I was looking earlier.
No,
but,
you guys. You guys pretty much covered it. I mean, yeah.
The whole Super Bowl thing, that was sort of new, so that'll be cool. That we'll be able to just click on that. I will say something, and I'm not going to get too into it because I don't want to bring this into our thing, but I had to get rid of a few Star Wars podcasters that I was watching recently, because some of the stuff they were bringing on was political, and I was just like, man, why are you bringing this political stuff into your Star Wars channel? You can relate it to the world or whatever, but when you're making specific, statements about different things and bringing it into the Star Wars universe, I was just like, man, that's not cool. We just stick to Star Wars. If you hate the Acolyte, okay, cool, that's your opinion. But
the idea is, people come to a show like this, people come to channels like ours to escape from the real world stuff. When you bring the real world stuff into that, like that defeats the entire purpose. Nobody cares. They're there to escape from the real world, not hear your beliefs about the real world. No one cares. I can guarantee you, if I told you my favorite sports team, my favorite beverage, my favorite food, nobody cares. No one cares. They just want to talk about Star Wars. That's why they're here. They didn't come to hear anything about my political beliefs or my ideologies. No one cares.
Max got it. He knows.
So my segment about the Minnesota Timberwolves managing the trade deadline and how it relates to Star Wars, we're not doing that.
Did they get Giannis yet or what?
No, not yet.
They're making room for
it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Really? Interesting.
Yep.
So, but hopefully, again, we got a big football weekend. Good luck, Mike. I know I will be rooting.
Yeah.
I will be rooting against you, unfortunately.
Oh wow, thanks.
But we will hopefully get that Mando trailer, which will be pretty cool. We can all go over and blow up the internet on YouTube when we're all trying to watch this at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that's about it. Nick, you got anything else?
You want to
not really looking forward. What's that?
You want to tell the world your political beliefs? And
hey, you know what we can do though? You can tell us, and I'm going to put you on the spot, but I think you have. I think you'll be able to answer this. And I don't know how long you stayed around yesterday. You might have been gone. What are your top 3 lightsaber duels?
Lightsaber duels?
Star Wars. Yep, in the Star Wars universe.
Only 3.
Okay. Based on anything, just my favorites.
Yep.
Favorite 3. Personal take. Doesn't have to be.
All right. I'm going to do 4 because I'm going to do an honorable mention.
Okay.
I've always headcanoned ever since I was a kid to make up for the A New Hope lightsaber battle that there's a lot more going on in a lightsaber duel than just swinging them around. That like them being together and doing that has like cosmic repercussions, and it's almost like they're reading each other in the Force rather than swinging around like the young guns they used to be. So with that context laid into it, I really like watching that one because like it's Obi-Wan sacrifices himself. It's really tense. There's no music until Obi-Wan dies. So I think it's classic. I would have to say that number 3, I was always a big fan of Return of the Jedi Throne Room. Because before Revenge of the Sith came out, Return of the Jedi was my favorite movie, which, by the way, someday we'll have to have our chat do my little video ranker thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was shocked at how low Return of the Jedi was on mine, and that was like one of my top for a long time. Anyway, I feel like that one, you're in this situation where you see Luke kind of let loose and you're like, yeah, kick his ass. And then you hear, the Emperor cackling and agreeing with you. And you're like, oh, wait a second. And I don't know. I thought it was cool. And it's, in my opinion, it's like perfect way, Empire is tense. I'm sorry, it's not making my list. It's awesome. Empire is probably the most important or one of the more important ones.
Yeah.
But I always loved the Return of the Jedi. And then number 2, the duel of the it's technically 2 of them. It's Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda and Sidious at the same time. Those were the matchups I wanted to see my whole life. You kind of knew as a kid it would come down to Yoda and Darth Sidious, whoever this guy, whatever he ends up doing. I love that they're happening at the same time. It's like the fate of everything is happening in front of you. And then Duel of Fates is my number 1. Specifically after Qui-Gon dies. The music, obviously, Duel of the Fates, the song and the soundtrack is great, or the score. But when Qui-Gon's on the ground and it's no music and Obi-Wan's like in his doing his little warm-up bounce, and then they just get after it, and where they supposedly had to slow the film down because
Yeah.
Ray Park and Ewan McGregor were going too fast. Like
Yep.
that's crazy to me.
So good.
That sequence, the whole thing is great, but that sequence is like 10 out of 10 for me. I don't
Love
care what any OT purist says about like over choreographed or what.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great to me. So
Love it.
that's
Great
my
list.
thank you.
That's all.
Great list.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some different ones. I'm definitely a little bit I don't know, I guess more nostalgic, or mine are more emotional.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The first again, my third was sort of a tie for Empire and Return of the Jedi. Those OGs for me were fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought it was neat how you said something about the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. You know, when we first saw that, it was so cool, you know. But then as we got older and we got the prequels and stuff, and I'm sure we've all seen it, but that remake, whoever did it before even AI was out,
Mhm.
it was a few years back of Kenobi and Darth Vader going at it. That was so well done. I thought that was such a good job. But yeah, the old school ones were number 3 for me. Number 2 for me was Maul and Ahsoka in
Great one.
season 7 of Clone Wars. And my number 1, which really surprised Mike, was Yoda and Dooku. That's my number 1.
I did know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's just and I sort of forgot about, until you mentioned, not forgot about it, but the Palpatine and Emperor, you know, Palpatine and Yoda one was awesome as well. But for me, it was just that first time to see Yoda just snap that lightsaber into his hand, and we get to see him, besides walking around with a little cane and limping and stuff like that. So, but
honestly, I feel like seeing Yoda reach for a lightsaber for you is probably how I felt about seeing Darth Sidious reach for a lightsaber. Because I was waiting. I knew at some point he had to emerge. And I was so fascinated. Like, how's he going to do it? Is this guy only do lightning or what? And he,
Yeah.
you know, and you actually see him do it in the trailer. So it's like, you know, there's no secret that he's going to do it.
Yeah.
And I was so hyped for it. Did they ever have Yoda with a lightsaber in the trailer of Attack of the Clones?
I don't think so.
I feel like I remember that being a
complete
shock in the theater.
Yeah, that was a complete surprise. And that was so cool how they did when Palpatine just right out. So, you know, when that happens, at least that's what I thought. Now I think back and go, this MFer had this on him all the time. Nobody knew it.
He was strapped.
Yeah.
Yes, he was strapped
like
all the time.
Somewhere
and nobody
up
knew it.
here.
And he had 2 of them.
Yes. Yeah, he has 2 of them.
Mike, what were yours?
Mine were very similar to Nick's, but in a different order, I guess. I had honorable mentions of my biggest honorable mention, I think, was Palpatine versus Savage and Maul, which is a great one. But at tied for 3, I had just all of episode 5 of The Acolyte. I don't really know if that's considered one, but it is. Just the Battle of Kofar, you know, the entire thing. But I also had it tied with Return of the Jedi, which you had at 3 too. And my thing with that was more so the emotions for Luke. I love the scene where Luke is hiding and Vader's walking around and talking to him, talking about his sister and everything. And then Luke comes out and goes, "Never!" and charges at him. Like, that's one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. But my number 2 was Duel of the Fates. The thing that puts Battle of Heroes, or whatever you want to call it, above it, Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar above it, is the dialogue. Like, Duel of the Fates just doesn't have the dialogue that it does. And all the stuff from before with the only a Sith deals in absolutes, I will do it. I've brought peace, freedom, justice, whatever. And then all the stuff after. It's over, Anakin, I have the high ground, whatever. You were the chosen one who said you destroy the Sith. All that. That adds just the dynamic that makes it slightly better than Duel of the Fates for me. But those are definitely the 1, 2. And it is still, I believe, somebody can fact check me on this, but Revenge of the Sith is still the longest sword fight in any movie all time, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. Sword fight too. So like any sword fight in any movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. And you know what's even more crazy? It was supposed to be longer.
I know.
There's
Yeah.
supposed to be a big animal involved and all that kind of stuff. So question then, should we do that again sometime with like categories? Because if you were to ask me like which are the most important, my list is totally different.
Oh yeah, completely
or like
different.
what's
Yeah.
purely the best looking one.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I would actually throw, even though it's not necessarily a lightsaber on lightsaber thing, the Last Jedi throne room scene looks better than
Visually,
any
yeah.
of them. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's the cinematography on it is insane,
Yeah.
but doesn't crack my top whatever.
True.
But it's
Yeah, we did
interesting.
that.
Maybe I'll leave us with this one thought and see if you guys agree. I just thought of when you said Luke is hiding in Return of the Jedi, and for whatever reason, like him in that moment, he gets himself captured under the assumption that the Rebel Alliance has the upper hand,
Yeah.
and when he's on the little bridge before they go up to see the Emperor with Vader, that's his shot to turn him, and then they both leave. And
Yeah.
when he doesn't, Luke says, "All right, then my father's truly dead." And by going up to the Death Star with him, Luke is basically on a suicide mission,
Yeah.
right? He knows,
Yeah.
and he even tells him, "Soon I'll be dead and you with me." So the act of him doing that is like already selfless in and of itself. He's like, I'm distracting them in a way or trying to get my dad
Yeah.
back. And he's under the impression that the Empire doesn't see any of it coming and he's going to blow up. So it's all interesting to me that in those final moments that would actually get to him, that Palpatine's like, oh yeah, haha, like we got this thing ready for you. But his emotions and letting loose on Vader are, now necessary. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think through. I don't know if I ever really notice when I watch it that Luke leaving the camp is like they don't think they're ever going to see him again.
Yeah.
He's pretty certain of his own sacrifice by doing that, and then he lets it go. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be cool to do it, most important, because again, that, like I said, mine was very emotional. For those three, for me, are very emotional lightsaber duels, and there's obviously a lot more that are more important, and there were some really great ones in the sequels.
Mhm.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite moments from the sequels is when Kylo pulls that lightsaber out from the back, and
behind
he's
his
just
head.
like, it's so good. So,
And
anyways,
it's
go ahead.
reminiscent of Han in
Yes.
Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, this was a good one. Again, that new book, if you guys haven't got it yet, you do need to. I did a little thing, and Clan Mandalorian Brandon said I got to get that book. But yeah, I think if you're on the fence, and I mentioned this earlier, if you're on the fence, sort of like I was with the sequels, but if you're on the fence with the Acolyte, check this book out. Check it out from a friend. You don't have to buy it, whatever. Look at it online. I think it'll definitely switch you or turn you a little bit more to liking the Acolyte, because I know there's a lot of controversy out there, and a lot of people don't. But it's a really cool book and I'm only just a little bit into it, and I can't wait to get into the rest of it. But I think it's going to be fantastic. There's so many cool things that we already know about it. So that we got hopefully the trailer this weekend. So we'll definitely be talking about that on Wednesday, and I'm sure Mike will on Tuesday. But yeah, tomorrow's Thursday, so Mike will be on 2:00 tomorrow, Thursday, Saturday for the weekend as well, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Yep, cool. And then again on Tuesday. So we appreciate you guys being here on Wednesday evenings. We know you got other things to do, but you get to come here and listen to us talk about Star Wars and get in the chat, and hopefully we get to answer some of your questions, and you guys get to correct us if we're wrong. So it's a win-win. So
Yeah.
that's about it. So Have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. And may the Force be with you. And we'll see you on the next Star Wars Jedi Chat podcast.